Welcome back. Now, recycler Mpact is asking the question, hashtag, are you going to recycle that? Well, today marks National Recycling Day, and South Africans are being encouraged to do their bit by separating their trash for reprocessing. Mpact says this is not only good for the environment, but reduces landfill waste and cuts cost for municipalities. It will also contribute more than 8 billion rand of resources into the South African economy. Well, Mpact Recycling Managing Director John Hunt joins us in studio this morning. Mr. Hunt, thank you very much for your time. What is this? Let's start there.
These are just some of the samples of products that can be recycled. People are using every day in their homes.
Right.
And that we're saying, are you going to recycle it? Because it shouldn't be going to landfill.
So we need to separate these?
Separate, yes.
How important is that?
I think it's vitally important for a number of reasons. The first is that if you don't separate that from your normal waste, it ends up in a landfill site.
Right.
In South Africa, we have, the landfill sites fill up, and then you've got to make massive investments again. And the ratepayers have to pay for that along the line. It costs money to actually dispose of rubbish. When you recycle it, though, you then take a product that's disposable, or is going to be disposed, and you actually add value to it, so that it becomes a new product that's created. So from having a cost for this costing money to dispose of, you can actually turn that around, and it's actually creating new wealth and new money in the environment as it becomes
There's
recycled.
something you mentioned in your press statement as you made your way here, and that is that South Africa is ahead of international standards and is currently a recycling world leader. I didn't know that.
Well, if you look at paper globally, about just under 60% of all paper is recycled. In South Africa, it's over 70%. So in many respects, we have, we recycle as much a large portion of the packaging materials that we consume. And that's really driven by the fact that there's a lot of investment in South Africa in recycling. So we have paper mills in South Africa that can take that material that you've, your old cardboard boxes, your printed paper that you finished with your newspaper, etc., and you can convert that into new paper products. Yeah. So because you've got that investment here, there's a demand for the material, there's a market for it, and there's money to pay for the whole collection process and making sure that material is recycled.
There is, though, a picture that doesn't look quite as good, and that is our oceans. It really is an eyesore when you go there. How are we doing in terms of avoiding litter? I
think there's a huge amount more that can be done. And that comes down, I think, to certainly looking at what materials are we using for our packaging. It's the first thing to consider. So if you need to consider, if you're manufacturing materials that you're selling or goods that you're selling, what are the materials that you're packaging them? Where are those materials going to end up once the product has been consumed? So that's the first question from a manufacturing point of view. From a household point of view, though, when you've bought these goods and you now open them and you consume them, the goods inside, what are you going to do with that packaging? Are you going to recycle it? And that's really the question that we're challenging into this recycling week, is that so many of these goods are recyclable. And although perhaps our municipal infrastructure for recycling is perhaps not as developed as it would be in, say, Europe and places like that, there are a lot of opportunities that are relatively easy for people to recycle. I think particularly in the big cities, in Johannesburg particularly, people are aware of the waste pickers who walk the streets collecting material. You see them on their trolleys with these big bags. The simplest thing one can do from a recycling point of view, even if at your house, is to take these sort of materials plus your paper materials, put them in a separate bag and leave them on your curb, and someone will pick them up. They will be paid for that material. They earn a living out of that. That material then goes into the whole value chain and becomes new products. So it can be as simple as that, or alternatively, there are schools that have recycling programs. There's many opportunities for the ordinary South African to recycle.
John Hunt, thank you very much for making the time to speak to us.
He is the
MD of Mpact. And remember the question, are you going to recycle that? Let's